Hi, welcome to the Humane Experience. I'm Hailey.
I'm Mckylee.
And we'd like to welcome you to our cult.
It's not a regular cult, it's an inclusive cult where everyone is welcome.
Our mission for this show is to make you laugh, maybe make you cry, and definitely make you wonder what the is going on sometimes. We also want to engage people who are interested in creating a more ethical lifestyle or creating change in their communities. And maybe people who want to find a sense of community to begin with or find a sense of purpose. The definition of humane is having or showing compassion or benevolence. While it's often associated with the treatment towards certain species of animals, humanity, the act of being humane, should not be limited to the confines of any species.
We hope to create a platform for amazing human beings fighting for humane treatment towards all animals, both human and non-human. When people tell stories, it brings you into who they are and uncovers pieces to the mystery of life itself. This show, we are just going to be sharing a bit about our own stories and what led up to starting the podcast.
And next week, we'll have an incredible guest on who's had a long history in fighting for animal rights.
Hailey, let's start with you.
All right, so my story, I'll start by saying there's no one story. Everyone has so many different stories that make up their life.
That's true.
But the story I'm going to be telling today is about what led me to a vegan lifestyle and what made me want to start doing activism. So to start from the beginning, I've always been an animal lover. I think most people would say that they're animal lovers, and I had a dog growing up, Jazzy. I think I've told you about Jazzy, and I had a couple hamsters. So I always knew that animals were not so different from us in that they wanted a lot of the same things. They wanted comfort, they wanted affection, they wanted stimulation, they wanted to feel safe, and you know that there's someone in there that's their own person, their own being. So I always had that belief, and my favorite animals were actually dolphins. So I absolutely love dolphins, and in the second grade, I remember I was researching about dolphins, and I found all these photos of these dolphins washed up on the beach covered in black spots, and it was like this widespread thing. It was happening all over the world. All these dolphins were washing up on shores covered in spots, and when scientists looked into it, it was from fishing boats. Like mass industrial fishing boats putting oils into the water, and it was making the dolphins sick. And I was like, I need to put a stop to this. Like, I need to raise awareness. People need to know what's going on. And so I started a website. It was a Weebly. I don't know if that's still around, but it was free website. So it's called SaveTheDolphins@Weebly.com. And I talked about dolphin poachers and narwhal poachers and fishing boats and how we shouldn't be fishing and we shouldn't be killing dolphins, because in my mind as a kid, I'm like, you just have to be a psychopath to want to kill an animal. Like, why are they doing this? But I wasn't thinking as far as, oh, if we stop fishing, that means we can't eat fish. Or if we stop killing animals, that means that we have to stop eating animals. So I hadn't made that connection yet, because I didn't think of the animals that I ate the same way as I thought about dolphins and dogs and hamsters.
Well, we're not the ones directly killing them to be eaten. They're just served in a nice little package to be eaten, so we don't connect it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I didn't know where my food came from, and I never fully made the connection that meat came from an animal until I was 15. And that's when I was in high school, and I took a cooking class. And the way that they did it is they would do a learning day, and then they'd do a lab day. And so on the learning day, they decided to show us a chicken farm, a video of a guy touring his chicken farm, and he's being interviewed and he's talking about how it's grade A humane, free range chicken farm, how they won all these awards. It's just like the best treatment in the country. So I don't know what I was expecting. I'd never seen a chicken farm before. But what I saw was a giant shed crammed full of chickens, so full that you couldn't see the floor. Like, it was just chickens everywhere. And I was like, well, if this is the best treatment of chickens, what's the worst? Like, I don't even want to imagine that. Because I was like, can it be free range when they're in a shed? But come to find out, as long as they're not in a cage, you can call it free range. They don't actually need to be let outside. They don't actually, doesn't mean that they can actually go free range wherever they want. It just means that they're not in a cage, but they could be literally on top of each other and it's still free range.
That's deceptive.
Very deceptive. So I felt lied to, but I didn't know what to do with these feelings. I just kind of put it in my back pocket, didn't think about it anymore. And then the next class we had our lab day and we cooked chicken. And
whoa.
I just remember feeling like kind of grossed out. I didn't really want to be a part of cooking it. And then when we sit down to eat it and it's on my plate, it was the first time in my life where I saw a dead body on my plate. And I didn't want to eat it, and I felt like this wave go through me. Like I felt like I was gonna cry. And so that's when I really made the connection, and I didn't want to eat animals anymore. And I went home and I started like researching how are other animals treated on farms, because I figured if that's how chickens are treated, how are cows treated in dairy farms, and how are chickens treated in egg farms. And I realized that it was almost worse than the meat industry in a lot of ways. It actually is, it's part of the meat industry, and there's a lot more mutilation and exploitation that is also involved. So I pretty much immediately made the decision to go vegan. At first I was hesitant because I'd only known one person that was vegan, and well, it was her whole family. It was someone I knew growing up, but the way my parents would talk about it is, how can her parents do that? This is child abuse. They would literally call it child abuse. And they would talk about how unhealthy it is, how she's not getting the things that she needs from animal products. And so to me, it was always a very taboo thing, like, oh, that's unhealthy. That's not the right way to eat. So I was nervous, and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I might fall apart, but I was like, I'm at least gonna try. And so I did it for a week, and I realized I actually felt like really good. I had better energy than before, and so I definitely wanted to keep sticking with it. And what really did it in for me was Earthlings. I only made it about 20 minutes into the movie Earthlings, and I was bawling my eyes out, like ugly crying in my room. Like my mom came in and asked like, what's going on? Because I was like just loud. Like I don't know if I've ever bawled so loud.
Aww.
And
it's hard to watch.
I felt guilty because I was like, I've unknowingly been a part of this my whole life. And so it like all came down on me, and I realized in that moment, like, just being vegan's not enough.
Yeah.
I realized I need to do something to try to help them. Like, this is happening on Earth right now. Yeah. And it's like, I couldn't even believe it. And so I wanted to get involved, but I didn't know how, and I didn't know anyone else who felt the same way as me. As soon as I learned this stuff, I started trying to tell everyone. And I started trying to like show documentaries to my friends, to my family, and it's like...
You were that vegan.
I was that vegan, and no one would listen to me, and I learned, I was like, oh wow, no one actually gives a shit.
Yeah.
And so I kind of gave up, and I just was like this quiet vegan for years, and like no one really knew I was vegan unless it would come up and it had to be addressed. And
yeah.
I didn't want to be the pushy vegan, and I didn't feel like there was a point, but...
Because you feel like no one's going to listen anyway, and everybody's just going to end up hating you, so like, what good does that do?
Right. Mm-hmm. But I still wasn't going to let it stop me from living my own ethics. I still knew I was going to be vegan for life, even if no one feels the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't trying to change anyone's mind. And it's like everywhere I went, like my friends in high school, my friends in college, like people, coworkers I meet, it's like I was always getting teased about it. And it seems like it started to get worse, but also people just started to be more curious. Like I felt like people were starting to ask me more questions, challenge me more. And I wanted to be able to have the language to defend myself. So I started to do a lot more research. I actually started researching a lot about nutrition for the first time because I was tired of being told that it's unhealthy. And so I just equipped myself to the point where I could come back to anything that people would say about nutrition. And then the ethics, I started watching the same people I used to watch when I first went vegan, Joey Carb Strong and Earthling Ed and Gary Yourofsky, and learning the language of how to speak up for the animals and use my voice effectively. And I started looking for community online. So before, this was a few years ago, right before I met you, like my algorithm looked pretty normal, and then I started searching for vegan pages and vegans and finding them, and it was like, whoa, there's all these other vegans out there, and I had no idea. And I like felt less alone, and I felt like I wanted to get involved in activism because there's other people doing it too. I'm not just in it by myself. And so I started searching for local activism groups, and I found a Facebook group, and there were 3 people in this activism. I mean, there were a few other people, right? But it was mostly you, and then Anthony. We call him Ant Dog. He was my Ant Dog. So it's Mckylee, Ant Dog, and then her daughter. But they were doing some cool stuff. Like I saw this video of them out front of Chick-fil-A, dressed up in chicken costumes. Sorry, you were dressed
No, I was a cow, and he was a chicken.
Yeah, and he was like, "Don't eat me, please." And like, I was just laughing. I was like, "This is fun. Like, I want to be part of this." And so I reached out to them, and we ended up meeting up at the one vegan restaurant in town, which unfortunately isn't vegan anymore.
They're vegetarian. They added eggs and honey to the menu, unfortunately.
Yeah, but at the time it was the only vegan restaurant, and I remember we talked for hours, and then even after the restaurant closed, we sat outside and we talked for hours, and I just like was so happy.
It started raining. And we like went under the patio, but we just like didn't want to leave. I was like, oh my god, I love this person so much, like immediately. It was so exciting.
Yeah, I was so excited because I'd never like met anyone who I could just talk unfiltered about my beliefs and my opinions, and I just felt like I'd found my people, and they started bringing me to do activism with them. So I think the first thing I did with you guys was Cube of Truth, right?
Oh yeah,
was that the first thing?
I think so.
Yeah, because I remember they came and picked me up, and I was so excited because I'd always wanted to do Cube of Truth. I would always watch them like on YouTube, and I thought it was so cool. But the whole way there, I was shaking. Like my whole body was shaking, and I was like, guys, I'm probably not going to talk. I'm just going to watch you guys. I'm not going to do anything. But once people actually started coming up and asking questions, engaging in conversation, I started talking, and it's like... Immediately.
I didn't expect anything from you, because even to this day, right before like events, I shake and I'm like, oh my gosh, and then it's like as soon as you get out of that bubble, like I can start talking, but like you just immediately, like it was like the passion had been building up all that time, and it just came out so beautifully.
Yeah, well, I've been studying, I've been watching other people, and so it's like all of the language that I had learned, I was able to use in that moment, and I was able to articulate my thoughts and speak up for the animals, and it just was so awesome. So we started doing more of those Cubes of Truth, and we would protest the rodeos. We still go to the rodeos when they come to town, and either pass out flyers or just hold signs out front where people are buying tickets, and we chant. We get interesting reactions at the rodeos, not always like the nicest, but we do all kinds of activism. We protest the circuses, we do a lot of work for PETA. Sometimes we hand out free food, and we hand out just egg sandwiches or vegan pizzas, or my favorite that we did for PETA was the dog barbecue. They sent us this really realistic looking dead dog. It was pretty disturbing, and we put it on a big grill. I think they sent the barbecue thing too, yeah. And then we stood out in the park at the farmer's market, and we got some really interesting reactions from that one.
People cried, people yelled, people argued, at every emotion.
Yeah, people were really upset at us just for having that here, and we're like, well, this isn't even a real dead animal. Like, what if this was a pig? Would you still be upset? And a lot of the people who came up to us had dogs, and so it was really interesting conversations, and so yeah, anyway, we've done all sorts of stuff, but there's a lot of different kinds of activism that you can do. Some people don't like the type where you're out there confrontational, talking to people or shouting or yelling. Some people might want to prefer to be at home, and Kylie can talk about this more because she's had a lot of experience with activism and knowing different routes of where people's abilities will be best used. But if you'd rather stay at home, you can make groups online, you can work on legislation, because we need people hitting it at all angles. And for me, my favorite kind of activism is just talking to people and having conversations. And so that's why I want to have this podcast, just so we can have these conversations and give platforms to people who are doing amazing work for animals and for people as well. And so I'd like to turn it over to Mckylee and let her share a little bit of her experience, before meeting me, all the activism she was doing, and just go into that now, I guess.
All right. Well, I think that maybe I could start when like you said, I was an animal lover, obviously, still am. And, but like being vegan goes deeper than that. Like it's also just like respecting other beings. Like you don't have to be an animal lover to be vegan. And I think that's important to emphasize. Like that's where it starts for a lot of us. But like also like I love to emphasize the fact that like it's just respecting another being, another earthling. So anyway.
Yeah. Were you telling me you had a friend who said they don't even like animals?
Yeah, she's vegan and she was like, honestly, I'm not even an animal lover. I don't even like animals. I just respect that like I don't have a right over their body. And I was like, that is mad respectful. I love that. So
yeah, no, I think that's a really good point to emphasize.
Yeah. So when I was 8, I remember someone had told me about like being vegetarian, and they were like, yeah, like I love animals, so I don't want to hurt them, I don't want to eat them. And I was like, what? I love animals, that's crazy. And I come home that day, I'm like, it's funny because I don't remember who told me, but I come home that day and my mom had like served chicken, and I'm pretty sure it was like a chicken breast or something. And I sit down at the table, and that was the first time I ever looked at meat and was like, oh, this was part of someone's body. Mm-hmm. And I freaked out. And I was like, Mom, I want to be vegetarian. I don't want to eat animals anymore. And I understand her response because, she's not experiencing the same feelings as me. And she freaked out and she was like, well, you can't eat different stuff than us. That's expensive. Like, you can't, like, I'm gonna have to buy different things and that's more money. My dad had lost his job. It was around the time that like the market crashed or something. So that was probably really stressful for her. So I'm trying to understand like her point of view because I'm like, she just yelled at me and it made me sad, but like looking at her perspective, she's like, whoa, you can't eat different stuff than us. But it's like, well, that's not stuff. To me, I'm like, I don't want to eat anyone else. And so that was really hard for me because I felt like I had to shove all of those feelings down and just be like, oh, I can't be different. I'm just gonna have to eat stuff. And it was easy to kind of like just shove to the back of my mind because I'd eaten animals my whole life. And then it didn't go away though. And my dad had watched, some documentary about Tyson Foods when I was a teenager, and he told me about it, and he was like, yeah, they're really cruel to their chickens. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So I completely avoided anything from Tyson Foods, and I was like, nope, I'm not gonna eat like anything that's branded or like any stores I know that like supply it. And I said that to someone, and they were like, well, if you're not gonna eat something from Tyson Foods, you should probably not eat anything from the grocery store because they all treat their animals the same. And I was like, like that felt so mind blowing. It's silly like to think about now, but I was like, whoa, what? Yeah, you're right. Okay. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna eat any animals from the grocery store. And at the time I was dating somebody whose family was like hunters. And they're like, oh, they live these happy lives and they live out in the wild and whatever. Totally not thinking about the fact that they're taking those lives away from them in a very cruel way. But, this is like my progressive, like, way that I did it. It was very like baby steps for me. I didn't know anybody that was vegan either. And so like when I got pregnant, I was told by the doctor like, oh, you need to eat lots of protein because I wasn't very healthy at the time. My relationship with her dad was not healthy. And so I was not very healthy, and I had to eat what I thought was a lot of protein. I was like, oh, okay, that's meat, that's animals. And I remember every single time I would eat something with meat, I would cry. I would cry, and then I would go like take a nap and just feel like dead inside. Literally, there was death inside of me. And I was like, this is so hard. Like, this is so hard on me. But it felt like, okay, I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm trying to take care of my baby. But I'm hurting someone. It felt like something was wrong. But I didn't know the right way to do it. Yeah. And everyone around me is telling me, well, this is how you need to do it. And then after having my baby, I was like, I told my mom, I was like, I cry every time I eat an animal. And she's like, why are you eating animals then? And I was like, oh, okay. It was like I needed the permission or something. I was really young too. I was 19 when I had my baby. So I feel like I just had so much.
A lot going on
yes.
at the time too, to be like, you know, thinking about like changing your diet or your lifestyle is just like another thing on top of all that.
Well, and yeah, a single mom and a teenage mom, and yeah, it was a lot. But I really wanted, you know, I've always wanted to be like a good person and take like better care of the earth and my surroundings than I found it, you know? Mm-hmm. And so then I went vegetarian, I think like a week into being a mom. My baby was like brand new and I was like, okay, I'm vegetarian now. And I think like 2 weeks later, I was pumping breast milk and it hurt. And I was like, I had such a like strong realization, like, oh my gosh, this hurts. I can't imagine what cows go through, because I was thinking about probably like some cheese chips or something that I'd eaten earlier that day. And I was like, oh my gosh, like cows are forced into this, A. B, they don't get to feed their baby. Like, this milk is being pumped for my baby, but like they don't get to feed their babies. Their babies are kidnapped and taken off wherever. And then like they're in pain and they don't get to stop. I was like, oh, I'm stopping because this hurts. They don't get to stop. They don't get to say, hey, I'm done. And then when they get an infection, they just like flame torch them. I don't know if I knew all of these steps at the time, but I did know that like I was choosing into it, whereas the cows weren't, and they didn't get to like say no. They didn't get to say when to stop. And
well, the torches, sorry to interrupt, but they sterilize the outside of the udder, but they don't sterilize the inside. So one thing to know is if you are drinking milk, all milk has pus in it. And America actually has one of the highest, if not the highest allowance for somatic cells, aka pus cells in the milk. And that's because these cows do get a lot of infections in their udders. They're not being milked in a natural way. They shouldn't be being milked at all. They should have, you know, their babies sucking it, not these machines, and not so many times a day. But sorry, continue.
No, you're good. It's
upsetting. It's like people don't know these things either. So it's
and like
to
that's
raise
a
awareness.
mom, you know. Like I relate to cows so much as a mom. Like it makes me so sad to think about like that their baby's taken from them. I've seen videos of them crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I think if someone took my baby and then to milk me, like that's the scariest thing I can think of. Like
that would be hell on earth. Yeah. If someone were to forcibly impregnate you, take your baby, and then lock you up in a metal room all day and only let you out so they can suck milk from your breast. Like that's just so exploitative, so violating on so many levels.
Yep. And so I was like, I don't want to take part of this anymore, and I decided to go vegan, and my mom did not agree with that. She was helping buy my food because, like I said, I was young. I was 19. I was on Wix, so like that helps with some of your food, but not all of it. They were giving me soy milk. I convinced them that I was allergic to dairy. And but yeah, that's not all your food. And then my mom was like, well, you need the protein and the cheese like to produce breast milk. And it's so funny because I know she doesn't feel this way anymore. But it was just like it sounds so funny now, but like you know at the time it's like, oh well, you need breast milk to make breast milk, which is so funny because it's not really how it is.
Right,
it's
no
like,
other animal does that.
Right, like, oh, let me go eat a brain to like get smarter. It doesn't work like that.
But no other animal is like, oh, I need to drink another pregnant animal's milk so that I can produce milk for my baby. What evolutionary purpose would that have? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make sense.
No. So, yeah, it was just, like, really funny. Like, so, but, like, at the time, I was like, oh, shoot, maybe she's right. I don't know. But I was like, you know what? Like, ethically, I can't stand for this. So, like, although I wasn't buying all of my own food, all the food that I bought from that point on, I was like, I'm gonna be vegan with my dollar, because we vote with our dollar, you know, like you vote with what you pay for. And so I was like, all right. And
so then freegan, right? Is that the right way to use it? Freegan?
I don't know.
So I might be wrong, but I believe a freegan is someone who will eat something that's not vegan if it's free, if they're not paying for it.
Right.
So no, that's kind of like another mid-tier, because you have your baby steps.
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. So I never thought about it like that, because I just still counted it as being vegetarian.
Because you're not voting for it. So, you know, I understand the logic. Personally, I wouldn't want to promote, you know, eating those things, using those things, and I wouldn't want it in my body, but I think it's definitely a step up from paying for animal products.
I was trying. I was like, I'm not going to buy anything that's animal products. And then, I mean, like, there would be times that, like, I would eat, like, cheesy chips or something, because I definitely had the queso morphine addiction until I went vegan. Like, that
was the hardest thing for me.
That
that's the only thing I
strong.
craved. That's the only thing I craved after was cheese. I never craved, like,
it's a literal addiction. It affects you like an opiate. Like, it's queso morphine. Like, because it's meant for a baby cow to want to follow and stay close to their mom and get hungry and be like, okay, I need to stay close to my mom. So, you know, because they're walking around. And so that's what it does with us, except we don't have a mother cow. We have just, okay, let's just keep drinking this milk.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that I definitely like dealt with. So I'm like, I was like, oh, I'm only going to pay for stuff that's vegan. But then I'm like, oh, here's some like cheesy chips. I'm like, I was definitely not like, you know, only necessity eating, I guess, vegan. But anyways, and then, let's see, I got food stamps, so then I could start buying my own food. This was, I think, 2 years into being vegetarian. So I got on food stamps, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I can buy my own food. And then I think I was like, you know, I'd been vegetarian so long at that point that I didn't like, it wasn't like, oh, I got food stamps, like, I'm gonna be fully vegan now. Like, I was still, you know, started only buying like vegan stuff, but it didn't like totally click. And I was eating eggs from one of my friends' like backyard chickens, and I totally thought that was like ethical until someone had like brought it up to me. This is actually the person who kind of like pushed me. Like, I was literally like on my last little, like, I just needed one more push to go vegan, because I needed that little reminder. Someone hit me up and was like, hey, oh my gosh, you seem so cool, are you vegan? And I was like, oh, okay, thank you, universe, I heard you, like, it's time to be vegan. And I was like, no, I'm not vegan, but like I'm you know, heading in that direction. And I kind of just like told some of the things that were going on, and I was like, right now, the only thing that I'm eating that's not vegan is like eggs from someone's backyard. And this person explained to me that like, A, they're not healthy, which like, I don't think that should be the first thing that you explain, because like, yeah, they're not healthy. But like, what the real concern is how it affects the chickens. And so they explained to me that chickens are genetically modified to lay eggs every day instead of menstruating like they're supposed to only once a month, the way that humans do.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, and so they're only supposed to once a month. And this causes extreme pain it's like the equivalent of giving birth every single day. That sounds excruciating. And then also it causes a lot of nutrient deficiencies, like calcium deficiency, because they shouldn't be laying that many eggs. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'm not eating eggs anymore. That's done. And then, that's
why if you feed chickens back their own eggs, they'll actually eat it, because they need those nutrients back, since their bodies are having to work so much harder and use so much more calcium than they naturally should be. So that's one thing people ask. Well, if you're not going to eat the eggs, what do you do with them then?
Well, they're theirs. Why would I take it?
You don't have to do anything with them, but
also, like, not to go too far into this, but like, gross. Like, chickens have one hole. It's called a cloaca. Poop, pee, and eggs out of the same hole. Yeah. Sorry, but that's nasty. That's like dipping your food into the toilet and then being like, okay, I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, well, I think I heard someone saying that on a video. They're like, it might have been a little different than this, but they're like, take an egg, put it in the toilet. It can be a clean toilet that you haven't used at all. Or, I mean, better yet, throw it in a toilet full of shit. and then take it out of the toilet full of and wash it off, are you gonna eat that egg?
Even with the shell.
If you wouldn't eat an egg that was in a toilet full of your own why are you gonna eat a shell that was, an egg that was sitting in someone else's shit? I don't know. Just that made me think. I don't remember who gave me that visual, but I heard that somewhere else first, but it made me think.
It's gross. It's not food. Like, it's not meant to be food. It comes out of someone's butt. Like, I don't know how much more explanation I need to give.
Honestly.
Anyway,
what is this world? Don't eat stuff that comes out of people's butts. You hear me?
Yeah, that puts other thoughts into my head, but we don't need to talk about that. Anyways, moving on. Then I'm vegan, and I'm really close with someone who's been vegan for a long time, which honestly, that made a huge difference for me, because going vegan, it's not that, like, being vegan is hard. It's, like, the adjustment in the lifestyle, and it's all the different things. Like, okay, instead of buying this at the grocery store, I'm buying this. Instead of doing this, I'm doing this. Like, and then it's like, oh, instead of calling an animal an it, they are a living being, you know? Like, it's just, like, little things that we need to adjust.
Yeah.
That, like...
And honestly, figuring out what to buy and, like, food replacements is honestly the easiest part of veganism to me. And that's what people think is going to be the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's really not. No. Like, you go and Google alternative for eggs. Okay, I'm going to use tofu. I'm going to use just egg. I'm going to use, I don't know, whatever else is out there. There's something new. Every week there's a new vegan product, so you just got to keep up with it.
Yeah. My, like, biggest ones were, like, you know, reading ingredients, because, like, oh crap, I bought bread and it has honey in it. I'm like, what the heck? I did not even think about that. Or, like, I bought these pretzels that were salt and pepper flavored, and then I'm, like, eating them, and they had, like, a powdery, like, stuff on it, and I was like, uh-oh, is this milk powder? And I look at the ingredients and I was like, no.
Oh, yeah.
And I've done that pretzel one. I've literally done, like, even, like, kind of recently, I think it was like a year ago, I bought some pretzels that had milk powder, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should know at this point. Like, we make little mistakes, and that's the thing, is, like, you're never gonna stop making mistakes. Like, being vegan isn't about being perfect. Yeah. And that's what I have to, like, remind myself and, like, remind people around me, is, like, we're not gonna be perfect. We're just trying our best every single day.
Right. What's the official definition of veganism? Isn't it, like, living in a way that causes the least amount of harm or exploitation to animals as possible?
And, yeah, wherever practicable.
Yeah, wherever possible or practical, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, because it's, like, you know, like, okay, everybody loves to argue, like, oh, driving a car isn't vegan because the gas and it's bad for the environment. Okay, well, like, living in our entire society is, and having a phone and whatever. And that's, like, the little things that, like, okay, I couldn't live in our society and get money for food and everything, like, that I need to survive and, like, have a shelter if I didn't have a car, if I didn't have a phone. Like, that's things that is not as easily practicable. But, like...
Right, there's levels. Like, it's about what's accessible to you and your lifestyle, because not everyone can go become, like, a Jainist monk who, you know, they sweep the ground in front of them while they walk so they don't step on any bugs. And it's like, you know, there's always going to be more you can be doing, and you're always going to feel like you can do better. And I don't know if you feel this way, but so I always feel like, oh, I should be a better vegan. Like, I should be more vegan. Like, I'm always trying to be more vegan. And
you should always try to be better than who you were yesterday, because people get so caught up in, like, the competitiveness between other people. But really the best thing you can do is be better than who you were yesterday.
Right. And it's about your own, like, personal beliefs, feelings too. Like, veganism isn't one belief. Everyone feels a little differently, and there's, like, different steps you might take and uncover. Like, I was talking to someone recently who is vegan, who doesn't mind wearing leather if it's from a thrift store. And personally, I don't like wearing leather even if it's from a thrift store.
Right.
But she's not being unethical in buying the leather from the thrift store. So it's just like, you know, vegan is like what you want to make it in a way.
Right.
There's
like
no set rules. Like,
no, because
Yeah.
like what we want to avoid is like causing, you know, we don't want to pay for new leather because that is a cow that was killed and then you're
It's
paying
creating
for
demand.
it, and then
Yeah.
yes, you're creating another situation for that. You're saying, hey, to the people who are doing that, hey, I want this, I want more cows to be killed. But like at the thrift store, it's like that's not creating a supply and demand situation. I'm like, with me, I'm like, I don't want someone's skin on me, but that's
Right.
like,
But
I'm not going to
the-
argue with someone about that, and I don't think that's like worth my time to like create a positive change for something that's not causing a problem, you know?
Right. My target of people to talk to isn't people who are vegan and wearing leather. It's people who are actively like harming animals without realizing it. But
Or
yeah,
doing anything about
when
it.
it comes to the leather, like the first few years that I was vegan, I kept wearing my old leather. And honestly, it didn't start to make me uncomfortable until like a few years later down the line. So that's why it's like, you know, everyone's at a different place.
Yeah.
And it's not our place to judge someone and say like, oh, you need to be more vegan than you are already.
Right.
It's just about, you know, promoting the lifestyle that will lead to better treatment for animals and more respect in our society. And if something is a direct product of exploitation, then it's obviously something that you're not going to have as a vegan, but there's always going to be those gray areas as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like, yeah, that reminds me of like my start into like activism. When I started doing activism, I was in northern Utah, and there's a good, awesome like group there, and I love doing activism there. And it was actually for Thanksgiving, and it's funny because that's one of my biggest like holidays that I hate for so many reasons. Like in the first place,
The pilgrims. And,
killing
yeah.
indigenous peoples, horrible. And then we're celebrating it by killing a bunch of turkeys. I hate it. It's a horrible holiday. But that was like something that was really cool to start doing activism with. I was working with a local like group that was passing out little leaflets with like recipes and ways to have a vegan Thanksgiving, and we were talking with people. And it was one of my like first experiences where like I was way too scared to talk to anybody, but I just had someone that I could shadow who had a lot of experience, and so I just followed him, and I just like, you know, listened to what he said. And I think I might have talked a little bit to people, but for the most part I just, you know, like open all the way, and I was like, all right, receiving, I'm being totally receptive to everything that's happening, like, because next time I do activism, I'm like, I want to be the one talking. But it was a really awesome experience to go out and do that. And so there was one day, I think we went out like 3 days in a row. One day we like held up signs, and then another day we like did some like chalk and then handed out leaflets. And then I think on the third day we were passing out like free tofurkeys that I believe, if I remember right, PETA provided. Tofurkeys are really good. I don't know if you've had them, but they're really good.
I haven't.
So like,
I've had the tofurkey slices.
Right. It's like that, but a whole roast.
Okay.
And then I think you put stuffing in it, or maybe there's already stuffing in it. I can't remember.
I tried a vegan roast. I'm trying to remember what the brand was.
It might have been tofurkey.
I don't think it was tofurkey. I think it was like Gardein or something.
Oh,
Does Gardein make one?
Maybe.
Anyway.
Sounds about right.
I tried one. It was pretty good. I honestly I don't know that I've had. It was like the roast with like the stuff inside of it. I don't know. I've never had like the meat version of that. So I'm like, I don't know what this is supposed to taste like, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for our vegan Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We'll have to do an episode on that.
Yeah. So yeah, I started like looking into like doing activism, and I was really excited to find that, because like you said, I realized like just being vegan is not enough. It's not enough, because me being vegan, yes, that's cutting out, you know, a percentage of animal suffering, and it's creating less supply and demand for the animal agriculture industry. But I was like, I need to do everything I can to stop this. Like, if I can, in anywhere.
Vegan's like the minimal baseline, right? It's like you're not part of the problem, but you're not doing anything to
help it,
to fix it, or
Exactly. And so I was like, I want to be someone who makes a difference. Like, I watched WALL-E as a kid, also around the time, I think I was about 8. 8 is when I feel like I started waking up a little bit. But I watched WALL-E and I was like, oh my god, this is not okay. And I started walking my dog every day and picking up trash. I was like, this is not okay. And I did that for years. I'd go for a walk with my dog every day. And I even got to a point where I was like, I'm going barefoot, but I would take my dog for barefoot walks and I'd pick up trash, and it was so funny. I'd always find these little treasures. I felt like the earth was like saying thanks, but I've just always been the type of person that's like, I want to make the world a better place. Like, because I truly believe in like the saying that like the earth isn't ours, we're borrowing it from our grandchildren. I firmly believe in that, because
because it's like, why else be here?
Why
else be here? You're either making the world better or you're part of the problem.
My dad says that humans are a virus. He's like, we destroy everything around us, and we are not helping the earth, we're hurting it. And so I just want to think of myself as least of a virus as possible. In our society, it's so hard.
Right, you just
driving
want to cause
and
harm. Like, I feel the same way. I've never wanted to be someone who causes harm to the world. I want to bring positivity and like be a light in the world and make things better. So,
and like,
awesome.
That's the hard thing about all of this, is like, there's no perfect way. There's no perfect way that we can do this, but we can try our best, and I don't think that we should get caught up in the fact that we can't do a perfect job and not do anything at all, because people are like, why be vegan? It doesn't make a difference. First of all, it does. And second of all, even if I just make a little bit of a difference, just a little bit better, like, why wouldn't I, you know?
Right. Why wouldn't you? Or why wouldn't you at least not be part of something that you don't agree with? I don't know if that's confusing, but it's like, people are like, oh, you're not making a difference. It's like, even if I made no difference, at least I know I'm not contributing to something that I don't agree with. I think it's important that we stand for something, you know? We need to have standards for ourselves as people, because otherwise society's just going to devolve into madness if no one has any standards for themselves.
Laws only go so far. And that's the thing too, is like, all this animal agriculture, all the practices are technically legal, but they're extremely cruel. So like, just because there's laws doesn't mean, like, people are like, oh, we need laws, or, you know, society will go into chaos. Well, if people really wanted to be that horrible, regardless of laws, it would just happen, because we would defy it anyway. And regardless of the laws, there's still horrible things happening.
Well, laws reflect society. So that would be the change. If society devolved, the laws would change. But right now, laws are where they are because people fought for that. And because people changed their minds first. But it doesn't mean that everyone changed their minds at first. Like, you know, the abolition of slavery in America, it didn't start with majority of people being against slavery.
That's so true.
It started with like a few people who were speaking up, even though literally everyone disagreed with them, or almost everyone disagreed with them, and ridiculed them and made fun of them. But that's been anyone who's made change in society, has been ridiculed, has been part of the minority, has spoken their opinions regardless of if anyone's going to agree with them.
And that sounds a lot like veganism, doesn't it?
So that's the new movement, that's the new wave, you know, get with it or get left behind.
I know, we're like, people used to see the people who were enslaved as less than human. And so we're saying, hey, like, these animals shouldn't be seen or treated as less than human. Like, we all should be treated equally. And just because we're different doesn't mean that they don't deserve the same respects. Right.
It comes down to, because a lot of people will say, well, humans, we're more intelligent than animals, so therefore our lives are worth more. At least I heard that argument. But I don't think that's true. I don't think, because when we look at other people, are you going to say children are less valuable than adults because they're not as intelligent? Like, maybe less valuable to society, yes, but whether someone deserves respect or not shouldn't depend on their usefulness. It should depend on their capacity to feel. And all species, all humans, we all have a capacity to feel. Even humans who are intellectually handicapped, they still feel, and we can't treat them like they don't deserve rights just because they aren't contributing to a human society. So yeah, I think getting to the point where people see animals as equal to human is probably kind of far away, kind of far out there, but if we can at least get people to just respect animals on at least a little bit, like, can we at least just like respect animals enough to not mutilate and torture and slaughter them?
Right.
Especially because they're the most like innocent, defenseless beings on earth. Like,
and on that note, that's the really sad part, is like the animals that are chosen to be meat animals are the ones that are the most defenseless. They're the easiest to bully, and the idea that like it's so manly and like tough to eat animals is wildly opposite, considering they're the most defenseless and easy to bully, and that's like really sad.
Pick on someone your own size.
They should just go fight each other.
You don't see farmers farming lions.
No.
They're farming little tiny baby chickens. You think it makes you a big man to snap a baby bird's neck? No.
No, that's just disgusting and quite the red flag, if you ask me.
Quite the red flag. Don't kill a bird.
Giving me the ick.
I'm getting the ick. And then I want to hear a little bit more about some of the activism you've done as well.
Yeah, so like, Northern Utah was really awesome. I loved it. Great community out there. Lots of vegan restaurants. And then I moved out here with a partner, and I was like, where's the vegan community? What the heck? Yeah. There was a vegan group on Facebook, and like a couple like people. There was no events happening, no activism. There's one vegan restaurant. I was like, this has got to change. And I remembered something that the person who helped me go vegan, the one that pushed me, he said, if not who, if not you, then who, if not now, then when. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and wait for someone else to do
That's good. Can you say that again?
Yes. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? And I was like, all right, I'm not going to sit around and wait for someone else to do what I know should be done. I'm not going to sit here and wait for like, oh, well, when's it going to happen? I was like, hey, I'm going to be the person, and I'm going to do it now. And I just decided that I'm going to do it sloppy. I'm going to do it messy because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Yeah. And that's something that I have like learned so much in this process, is that we just have to start. Yeah. You just have to go vegan. You can't wait for you to figure out how to do it perfectly. You just got to start doing activism. You can't wait for yourself to figure out how to do it perfectly, because the best way to get better is just by doing it.
Just by doing it. Yeah, exactly. You just have to make the choice to do it, and then you'll learn.
Yeah. My first event that I ever hosted was a chalk activism. Some people call it chalktivism. I think it's a really cute word mashup.
Yeah.
And
so
it was really cute because I had some friends who had kids, and so we got the kids involved, and we all wrote our messages. We wrote whatever was important to us, whatever, and we wrote some really beautiful messages. Some people drew some really beautiful pictures, and it was really cool because, someone wrote about fur, someone wrote about dairy cows, someone wrote about meat, all different categories, all ways to speak up for animals. And so I think chalktivism is such a fun way that it's very non-confrontational. It's very I feel like when you draw and write, it's good for getting your emotions out, and we have a lot of pent up emotions in this movement that we feel like we need to get out and don't always have an outlet. So I think this is a really good way that I like to go about it. And so I did chalktivism as my first event, and then that was actually sort of north, but a little more after I'd moved south of Salt Lake, so there wasn't as big of a community. And then when I moved down to St. George, that's when there was nothing out here. And the first event that I hosted was for a circus. They travel. It's a traveling circus that they have elephants and like horses and I can't remember all of the animals, but clearly that's awful. Not only forcing the animals to perform and the cruel practices that they go through to get them, to teach them how to perform, or teach them, scare them into it. And we protested it, and it was really awesome because that was the first time I ever used a megaphone.
Yeah.
I was terrified.
I love megaphones.
I do, and it's so funny because before I met you, I was just like, it was so different. Like when I was a kid, I was quiet. I would hide under the table when the waitress showed up and be like, nope, I'm not ordering my food, you know? Like I was so scared. Like I was just so shy of people, public speaking. And now at events, people are like, oh, you want to give a speech? I'm like, hey, let's go. Like, I don't know. It's just like when you have passion in your heart, like sometimes it just, you know, I had to work through a lot of the fears. Like, I'm not saying it just came naturally, but like working through it, like, is so crazy. And like, so at that circus, like I hosted my first like bigger event. Quite a few people showed up. I spent hours making signs, and now I just like, you know, now I've found a way to go through like PETA or like other sources to just send me signs. That saves me a lot of time. But when I had time, it was really fun to make the posters. But that's the thing is like, you know, you learn like more and better ways to like go about stuff.
That's funny that the first event you planned was a circus, because the first event I actually planned for us was the circus protest too, and so I was like so proud of myself. But then I used all your signs. Yeah, the signs.
Oh yeah, because I put a lot of time. I was like, we're using these.
Yeah,
I had spent hours like over a couple days to make those signs, and then I realized I should probably make signs that are a little more like better for other, because I could only use those signs for circuses. But you know, it's one of those learning experience things. But I had two friends show up from northern Utah because they were traveling through, and they had little megaphones that were really powerful. It was awesome. And they were like, hey, this is your event, here's a megaphone. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And they were like, no, Kylie, you got this. You got like the passion in your heart. And like, it was really awesome because the two people that I was with, like, always just gave out like the most beautiful like speeches and said things that just like reach into your heart and make you feel like they're like giving you a hug, even if it's a harsh like message. Like it's just like, oh, this is beautiful. Like you can tell that they are like empathizing with the animals that we're speaking up for. And I was like, okay, that's what I gotta do. And so I listened to them for a little bit, and then I just started going. And ever since then, like, give me a megaphone, I'm gonna start talking. I love it. Like, it's so awesome. I love that they like pushed me a little bit out of my comfort zone to like do that, because that really like changed so much. Because now, you know, I've had situations where I spoke on a microphone in front of like, I don't know, around 50 people, and then it was being broadcasted to like hundreds, if not thousands of people on the internet. And I've done that multiple times actually now. And then I've given like a speak out in front of the Utah State Capitol that was also broadcasted to I don't know how many people on the internet. Like that, I feel like that's been a really awesome like useful skill for me. And so like having that little push of against my comfort zone is really nice when you have like friends and people who love you to like, okay,
well, you got now this. You're like probably the bravest person I know. And so hearing you say like how shy you were and like hiding under the table as a kid, it's like hard for me to picture that.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like cool you've come so far.
It's so funny. I love being able to like tell my friends now like, oh, this is how I used to be, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
I just like to think that like little me, little animal lover, wants to be a good person, like wants to make the world a better place, would look at me now and be like, oh my god, she's so cool. It was
so that event, was that in northern Utah then?
No, that was down here.
Oh, that was here.
Because the circus, their first stop is in Hurricane. At like,
but who were the activists?
It was Trevor and Allie.
I wanted to know. That's why I was thinking it might have been in Salt Lake.
No, yeah. So they were traveling through because they had gone to Vegas for some reason, and they're like, "We're gonna make it to your event." He even made a flyer for me, and Trevor like always just gave like the most like beautiful speeches that would like reach into my heart. And Allie gives those kind of speeches that's like it makes you want to get your shit together. She is so awesome.
Amps you up.
Yes, exactly. Like she's so
She's so cool.
exciting.
We want to have her on the show at some point.
Yes,
so
Allie, if you're
hopefully
watching
you guys get
this,
to meet Allie.
Allie's
She's
awesome.
Yeah,
and I love her. And she taught me about pleasure activism. There's a book, and she didn't tell me what it was about, which was kind of funny. I don't know what I was expecting, but she made it sound more on the activism side than the pleasure. The book is very pleasure activism. Anyway, great book. But she was explaining to me that, like, you know, she's only willing to do activism that she feels, quote unquote, like pleasure from, that she feels good about. And that really spoke to me. And I was like, okay, this really makes me, like, especially as an organizer, I want to find ways that everyone involved feels comfortable with. And because I realized, I was like, you know what, not everybody's going to be comfortable, let's say, speaking on a megaphone, and that's totally fine. I don't want to push somebody to do that unless they feel comfortable and feel excited about it. Like, I'm like, I was nervous, but like then once I started doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Let's say someone tries it, they hate it, never do it again. That's totally fine. And you know, I've had people tell me like, oh, this type of activism I don't want to do. And I'm like, that's awesome, but let's figure out what is good for you. And so as an organizer and as like, okay, I want to get this group going, I'm like, I want to figure out as many ways as I can. So like the chalktivism, holding signs, the cube of truths. There's so many different ways to speak up, and not all of them involve even doing anything. You can do stuff online. You can make a podcast. There's so many different things that you can do. You can volunteer at shelters and sanctuaries. Like, there's so many ways that we can get involved. And so I was like, okay, I want to work with people, help them tap into this beautiful, boundless energy that we have to do activism and speak up and make things better. And, you know, I'm like trying to connect with all these vegans that I'm starting to meet and connect with, and they have no idea who the heck I am. They're probably like, who the heck is this person? And I was like, okay, we gotta start having like meetups. Someone was telling me that they call them carrot mobs, where you like meet up and go to a vegan restaurant or something and get to meet each other. And so I was like, okay, between all of our activism, I want everybody to be able to hang out, come see each other. I want them to see who the person is that's like inviting them to all these events, and then we can eat awesome vegan food and support our vegan restaurants, because having a vegan restaurant is quite the activism. Honestly, you're feeding the vegan people and you're promoting, you know, against animal cruelty, and
you're getting people to try vegan food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's so awesome that like the restaurant that we lost to being fully vegan, yes, they still have lots of vegan options, but like I think what they don't understand is like we lost a safe space, because not only was it like, oh, it's all vegan food, when you have that environment, it creates like a place for your community to go. It creates like a sanctuary for us,
or
like,
somewhere that you can bring guests. Like, for me, I'll go out to eat with people who aren't vegan, but if I'm going to be paying for the meal, like if I want to take someone out to lunch, I'm not willing to pay for anything that has animal products in it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like somewhere I can take my friends, knowing regardless of what they order, I won't feel bad paying for it.
Oh, so it's the perfect date spot, because you don't have to sit there and worry, oh God, are they going to order a steak and I'm going to be icked out and want to leave and not be able to eat my food because I'm disgusted. Like, you're like, whatever they order is not going to be uncomfortable and get in the way of like me getting to know them, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, at least we have a new vegan restaurant now.
Yes,
so.
the Hearty Beats is awesome.
We want to interview Brittany at some point. So
yeah,
Brittany, if you're watching, she is awesome. Just a little like,
oh, I love her so much.
Yeah, she had a food truck, a vegan food truck that she started for years. Also gluten free, makes everything from scratch. And then recently, when did she open up the restaurant?
3 months ago.
3 months ago. So.
Well, it was 3 months ago that it opened, and all these fun complications before that. It was supposed to open earlier, but man, opening a restaurant sounds difficult.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to bring up or end on about your your journey with activism? I know there's so much you've done. It's
There's
like more
so
than we could
much.
ever cover in just one video.
Especially just one video. No, yeah, I feel like this is a good like start. Like, you know, like I said about animals, we don't want to see them as things. We want to see them as equals and like respect them. We don't like, okay, you can be an animal lover, but you don't need to be an animal lover to be vegan because we're just respecting them. I feel like that's like a good point to
end off on.
to emphasize. Yeah. So.
Right. Veganism is not being obsessed with animals. It's not being, I don't know, overly sensitive, trying to be a martyr, trying to be a better person. It's not all of these stereotypes. It's really just respecting others. That's it.
Yeah, it really is like, that's like bottom line to me, you know? It's like being a respectful person. You don't have to earn respect.
No. Because I could hate someone. Like, I could absolutely hate someone, and I still wouldn't wish the life of an animal in the farm. Like, an animal in a standard farm in America, I would not wish that on anyone.
Even, I have someone I hate a lot, and that's like a lot. Like,
and you still wouldn't. I know
way.
exactly what you're talking about, and he's a terrible person, but you still wouldn't want to send him through a slaughterhouse.
Nobody deserves that. I think about like bad things that could happen to him in the situations that he puts himself in, and it makes me sad. And I'm like, even someone that I have really intense, not good feelings towards, I would not want them to go through what animals go through when they haven't done anything wrong.
Right. So when you put it at that level, it just shows you that being vegan isn't extreme. It's really extreme to send someone to these places to, I don't even know how to say
farms
this,
and slaughterhouses.
Right, to make them live this life. It's like, that is so much more extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something you wouldn't even send someone you hate to a slaughterhouse, and you're gonna send an innocent animal, and then people want to say living a vegan lifestyle is extreme just because we don't want to send anyone to a slaughterhouse. So
if you wouldn't want it done to yourself or your worst enemy, you definitely shouldn't be doing it to anybody else.
Right. There's no humane way to enslave, mutilate, torture, or exploit another being.
Yep.
So let's all have some humanity.
Let's all live a humane experience together.
Let's have a humane experience. Let's have some humanity and eat some tofu.
Tofu never screamed when you got it.
Or eat some catnip like Robin. She's like